What greater gift could you and I give to Jennifer one day than to give her the gift of a clean environment, a world free of global warming, a world where you have alternative energies that provide jobs for people, reduce the tensions in the world. I can't think of anything more important that we could do other than ending the war in Iraq than doing what we can do to get our energy issues right in this country. But it's not enough just to say what you want to do. All of us agree on the goals. Everybody's for energy independence. Everybody tells me they're for contributing to the reduction of the CO2 and the other pollutants in the environment so that we have a chance to start to reverse the trend on global warming. We all like to produce new jobs. Everybody's for that. But if you're going to be for it, tell me how you're going to do it. Because how to do it gets a little more complicated than just what you're for. And believe me, I've been around long enough, been through 8 elections. I know about politics. I know certain words to predict a certain response from people. So when I went through and said, how do we do this? First of all, I said, look, we're going to have a fuel mileage standard that's much better than the one we have. And I believe by the year 2017, we can have a 50 mile per gallon standard for our automobiles. Jackie was telling me, we were talking about this issue last night, and she said to me, you know, my first car that I bought in 1984 was a CRX, I think you told me. Honda CRX.
The cheapest car on the market.
Cheapest car on the market. But it got 43 miles to the gallon in 1984 here. You know, that's 23 years ago. So when people tell me, well, the technology doesn't exist, that's baloney in my view. If you put your mind to it and insist upon it, we can get those fuel mileage standards that I think we ought to be having in our country. So I'm a strong advocate of it. I will fight for it. And as president, I'll make it happen in our country. Second is, of course, we have to be, and I'm for the having the reduction. Hello. Nice to see you. How are you doing? Okay. Got a young voter here. Oh, yeah. There you go. Be careful. Okay. The other standard is, of course, reducing the CO2 emissions by 80% by the year 2050. And that's part of our plan as well. We've laid this out in great detail, and I invite you to go to chrisdodd.com, and you can read this entire energy plan. So I don't want to take the next 30 minutes of going through every detail of it. But the reduction of the CO2 by 80% by 2050, the 50 mile per gallon standard. And the second is, of course, you have to deal with the great barrier here, and that is price. If you're going to deal with global warming, if you really want to reduce the effects of burning our fossil fuels, then you're going to have a carbon tax, in my view, here. I'd like to take, yeah, there's some other way, but a corporate carbon tax is what's really necessary to build up the reserves, to have the emergency funds necessary to support the alternative technologies and fuels, provide relief to consumers who would like to make the better choices environmentally so they can afford those appliances and automobiles that are non-polluting and encourage the kind of development of those technologies. That's what needs to be done. I believe very sincerely a chance to do this. Reduce the kind of pollutants in the environment, to increase job opportunities, to provide the kind of leadership in the world. What greater gift could we give to developing countries around the world than technologies to allow them to have energy independence themselves by offering technologies that would not make them dependent upon the oil-producing countries or the carbon-producing fuels around the world today. That could be the greatest gift in many ways we give to the world over the coming years. That takes leadership. It takes bold leadership who's not afraid to stand up and be honest with people about what needs to be done. I believe the American people can handle the truth. What they can't handle is people standing up and promising goals without being candid about how you get there. What people are demanding more than anything else is some honesty and some directness and some boldness. That's what people want more than anything else.